Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 10, Episode 16, the mid-season finale. I do appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Like this video. You can also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Let's get into this episode. Yes, it is the mid-season finale. And it's just like probably the last couple of episodes have been good. And now we have to go dead for 2 months since Ayana is back. So March 7th is when they announced that the new mid-season will begin again. Yeah. Maybe I'll give my thoughts at the end of the season whenever it's going to end, because it's looking probably April or May. And it will be, basically the show's been on for about a year now. Are they filming again for season 11? Because, Lord. Anyways, we begin this episode with Scott's 1.0. Tisha wants to host an 80s theme party. Both Marcel and Tisha they've come up with the rap lyrics and giving invitations personally to some people, and other people that they don't really want to deal with, nothing. So Tisha's going to be a baby, and that's just who Tisha is, and it's kind of like just shaking your head at her. Like, come on. She's not going to give one to Destiny, and she doesn't want to give anything to the Fletchers. Again, the men are fine. And I'm glad Miss Wanda, who is going to be the blogger and the one that's going to be on the gymnasium red carpet, asking the people what we want to know. So, anyways, I'm glad that Wanda really brought it up about, okay, the men are able to get along and y'all women. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a few minutes. So they're coming with lyrics. They get it all together, get in their garb, get in a limousine, and present it to Maurice and Kimmy, to Trish and Ken. I guess those were the only two real couples that they really did anything for. They sent a text to everyone else. Cheap and crazy. Like, did y'all send like at least a poster or some type of photograph of an invite? Because I think that is just really shady, because nobody has treated y'all like that. Whatever. Nell and Fletcher, they did feel a way about the whole invite, you know. Nell wants to go, but it's just like, okay, why? Fletcher felt like, well, why is there in a text, you know? I think they heard about the personal invite, I think, but whatever. Is there anything really in between there? No. Let's get on to the 80s party. I don't think the episode was boring, but there wasn't much content there. It wasn't a lot of mess going on. So, and I'm cool with that. Look, we got the mess towards like 3/4 in. And until the end of the finale. So they're in their gymnasium. Some people are dressed 80s, and a few are not, in my opinion. But hey. Hey. Maurice had his hat on, what looks like possibly a Jerry curl in the back. Marcel just had on his hat and all that good stuff. He had on his gear. Tisha did too. I think they went really simple, in my opinion. Trish and Ken was more dressed than Ken was more dressed than Trish. She just has on some neon colors. But anyways, Destiny addresses that like, this is 80s get up, my 80s get up, but no, not really. The big hair was on the scene. Well, Destiny always wear them ponytails that look like a whole wig. How do y'all do that? I would love to know, because Destiny is able to make that whole piece into some type of ponytail, or you know, that is interesting, ladies. Interesting. Probably, I don't want to give him nothing. The flyest one, or the most creative, was Martell. Martell ended up getting that Gumby hairstyle that was created by the one, the only, the king of R&B, Mr. Bobby Brown. Actually, Bobby Brown really set a trend by accident. If you watch the New Edition movie, you know that it was done by accident, that the barber mistakenly cut it that way, and Bobby had to rock with it, and it ended up becoming a trend, even for the bad boy of the nation at the time. So shout out to Bobby Brown. But he came in his, was it Adidas? Anyways, he had on the jersey sweatsuit thing that was pretty popular back in the 80s. And just like Tisha, I was born in the 80s, but raised in the 90s. So, But I do have an appreciation for the 80s. And I also have appreciation for the 50s, 60s, and 70s for their things that they gave, besides Jim Crow. But yeah, he comes in, and I think he was the flyest. And then all of Destiny's men show up. I don't think you're ready for Destiny's jelly. Oh, so then there's all these jokes, hoping Destiny has brought someone new, a new man on while they're doing their thing, but they're also making jokes about who she gonna pick, I didn't know that all when they said 4. I'm like, 4? I don't see 4. But Jalen was there. Remember, there was flirtations when nothing ever happened between them. Jalen really had some big interest in her, but it didn't happen. But yeah, I just hate how I know it's being done as far as for a woman to have different people that are interested in you, because it's automatically that you're a 304. I almost said the word. And if men had a bunch of people around, it'd just be a bunch of your HO 304s, and then you would be celebrated for it. But then they did something I feel was very gross. They got in this group huddle, minus Jalen. I think Jalen has a little bit more respect, and started crowding Destiny like it was some type of three-way type of situation. I think that is totally gross. Y'all can tell me how y'all felt about that. Disgusting, y'all. Disgusting as a way of a joke. It would have not, no. The one person I think that Destiny's feeling is Twan. That's the googly eye one. I think he gonna mess it up being around these guys though. Totally disgusting. Totally disgusting. You shouldn't have done that. You should not have done that. But they wanted to play into the cameras, and I think he was kind of peer pressured-ish to do what you did, sir. So if she don't go out with you or deal with you like that, then hey, that's on you, sir. Again, Miss Wanda was the red carpet spokesman person. She's asking all these messy questions. People are entertaining her, but not to the point of really getting down in the dirty with her. So I think that Ms. Wanda did her job as a blogger. She said that she enjoys it, and she gets a bunch of money. No, she gets a little money from it, and all that good stuff. And that's what she likes to do. She likes to get in other people's business. So there's a bunch of dances and all that good stuff. And then all the ladies sit down. Nell comes a little bit later and has to sit next to Tisha. And Tisha's like, oh, Nell's sitting by me? Is there any other seat for her to sit down that's away from you? Like, Tisha, you're so dumb in this moment. Like, what? What are you doing? You didn't say, okay, y'all come up here. Make sure Nell sits down there. This was your party, right? Shut up. Everything was fine. I think Miss Wanda came and joined, and then the fireworks happened. I think that this total confrontation was dumb. Cool to see Miss Wanda, but don't you want to be used for something a little bit more, that has a little bit more substance? Tisha's feeling a way about Destiny. Destiny feels a way about not getting no personal invite because she did that for them, as far as at least giving them their own baskets and all that stuff. I would too. Because you're so crazy, Tisha, because you want 100% loyalty. You can't say that she's wrong about anything or side at all with the opposing party before they don't think that you're loyal to them. Tisha ends up calling Destiny riding the fence. I'll just say this about you, Destiny. You started the mess, and then you wanted to play the devil's advocate, mostly for Nell. I will say that much. But it's like, it did come from you, Destiny, so you're going to get the hit. Even though Tisha did not mind any of the mess until you started speaking up for Nell. Nell already picked up, well, you know, you didn't get no invite because you chose peace and got in my car and all that, Now, according to the ladies, all of this was supposed to be resolved, and we were just supposed to be cordial. But Wanda said, no, I must have some camera time. More camera time. So they're bringing up the stuff that Nell and the husband did to my daughter. Nell never agreed with Chris about that, about the whole NDA situation. And Nell said, well, somebody need to be getting up and checking him. They did. That was like 12 weeks ago, Miss Wanda. Where you been? Like, you're catching up so much longer later in life. that we're now rehashing stuff that should have been done. But Tisha loves it because she doesn't have to fight and she can get her mammy to do all her work. Nell mentions, I think they were asking, like, why are you getting heated? Because I got to protect myself, da-da-da-da-da. I don't have my mama here. And then, what's her name? Miss Wanda said, I don't have my mama here either. Maybe because you didn't clear everything up with your mama, that's why you hanging on to your mama like you do. Totally out of line, and now Tisha want to get up. Mom. You knew what you were doing, lady. You knew, and you know your mammy to the bone. Nell says that she had a great relationship with her mom. I took care of her. I took care of her too. What is that supposed to mean? I want to like Miss Wanda, but you jumping in on something that don't need to be jumped on, but your daughter is the culprit of all of this stupid mess. It was dumb and ridiculous. In the end, Nell apologized something about Tisha. Oh, I got an apology. Whatever. Shut up, Tisha. You are so weird in this situation. So they do a slow dance, but they didn't play whatever the 80s record that they were playing because I'm sure copyrights. I would have loved to see that. I kind of would have liked to see how, at least back in the 80s and 90s, how men and women would dance and stuff, especially your boo. It'd be a little bit raunchy, but since some of y'all married in that group, it would have been interesting to see how y'all really dance with each other, but I guess y'all wanted to keep it G-rated, and that's fine with me. Now to the real meat and potatoes. We have scoured down all of our bread from Texas Roadhouse, the cinnamon butter bread. If y'all don't know anything about that, y'all better get to know it. Anyways, Maurice and Kimmy, they go out on a dinner date. It looks like it's at some hotel. Like a hotel, probably a restaurant or something like that. Or at least in the same building, whatever. They sit down and Kimmy's like, oh, I really love this. I really like us having dates, and we got to have dates like this. Da, 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 da. I think that is so dumb that you can't even figure out, even if it's one day out of the month, to have a dinner date, a date with your wife. It's like Maurice did all the courting he was going to do. He sent his representative, in a way, even though I don't think that Kimmy was totally oblivious to who Maurice Scott really was or is and is. It's just like, I'm done with romance. Just let me get in it as many times as I want it. And you know what I mean by in it. And that's just crazy. But whatever. She's saying that, da 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 da. You can tell that Maurice is not really up to join this date night. It's just like, Now, I don't apologize for my last week's video. I reacted to what was going on in the moment. Do I understand Marceau and do I understand Maurice? Yep. And what they've always brought. Yep. I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because he actually said something different. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But Kimmy burst that bubble as far as what Maurice is really about. So Kimmy ends up asking, so what do you think about this whole therapy thing? He says that he likes it because both of them, since it's a married couple, they give two totally different perspective of things. Kimmy's like, wait, what? What do you mean? Oh, well, when the whole thing about us having sex 2 to 3 times in a day. The woman, I forgot her name, she was immediately just turned off by that. But the guy, I think it was more with me, and I'm paraphrasing. And Kimmy's like, no, he didn't. He said, well, I think that he told me in a way because we're both men. And he still was saying that there could be some hypersexuality and an addiction going on. And they don't agree to that. He don't agree to that. And we roll back the tapes. Roll back your tapes. Roll back them tapes, like Nene said. And it was right there. I know what was told. He told you in a way that was palatable, but still was telling you, sir, you got an issue. And that's why I understand why Maurice, who was on Reality with the King this past Monday Night Live, when he was asked about what are your feelings about people thinking that you have this sexual addiction, he went back to the original course and going all the way around the mountain. and then try to fix it up by saying, I'm still in therapy and and God's not through with me. I'm paraphrasing. And what else he say? And I've learned about me not lacking emotional intelligence. As Kimmy said, you're saying the right things in therapy, but when we get out of it, you're totally different. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You want to escape accountability. You want to blame this woman for everything. Kimmy went on to say, because Maurice was saying, when we first got together, it wasn't everything. Nothing's changed about that. And Kimmy said, it was not the same back then. Yeah, it was. I remember different. And Kimmy said, we would meet once a week. Also during that time, we would have long talks. Things that would turn me on. And I think also a thing that turned me on was at that time you were building stuff. You were in construction back then, and those were things that were really a turn on. And now look at me. I got to turn myself on. This episode, Kimmy wasn't backing down. And I think because she finally got him in therapy and got people around him to try to hold him accountable in what he's saying in the therapy sessions and lining up outside of the session, she said, okay, no, I got you, bud. So it's cool that she's been able to do that in this episode. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, I've changed. And I think Maurice said, well, why'd you get married to me then? Because I had already changed that before we got married. Kimmy said, yeah, I accept that where you are. You're in your soft hand era where you don't want to do that. You want to be a lawyer or a lawyer. I accept that. However, there should be a meeting of the minds or in the middle of the road in regards to all that. And Maurice said, no, there isn't. It's to the point where Kimmy's like, well, when you want it nowadays, you get mad if I turn you down. Really, the Scotts 2.0 owe everyone an apology for how we were speaking those couple of seasons ago during cancer. Kimmy, I know you were trying to protect your marriage and your husband, but he was pushing you during even cancer. Pushing you to have sex with him because he cannot control himself. And you covered for that. But it's hard. It's like, I want to be on your side, Kimmy, but it's hard too. Because you'll still defend him. And I know that that's your husband and all that good stuff. Good for you. For better or for worse. In sickness and in health. It's like, I look at even when he cried in Marceau's arms. Like, you were just totally fake. That's how I look. Whether it was fake or not, Maurice, you would put yourself in the position for us to feel a certain way about you. You were just going to miss your maid, your mule, and mattress. That's what you were crying about, sir. And you need individual therapy. Not just this marriage stuff, but you don't want that either. You don't want that. You lean toward the guy because you thought the guy was always going to be in your corner, but you so delusional in your head, you still think that you're right. Until the pride breaks off of your life, you're going to go around the mountain. Always disappointing people. Always being selfish. Always thinking you're right. You're going to destroy relationships. The people around you have to be around you. Your son, I don't even think he's going to come around you that often. Once he graduates and get out there, he'll run to his mama before he comes to you because he sees you for your works or non-works. You're not Mighty Mouse. Wimpy sin sack mouse. That's who you are. That's who you are. You ended up almost blurting out, and I should have wrote it down, but basically, from what I'm getting from, you're acting like possibly this is the end of the road for you and Kimmy. Is this the end? New Edition song? Remember that song? Yeah. Is this the end? And a lot has to do with because of your lust that you refuse to deal with. You won't acknowledge it. You'll make everybody else feel crazy. And you're going to have to go back to that little child that you are and really deal with that, whatever went on in that house. I think the grand Mr. Scott was something else. I think he was hell on wheels, in my opinion. Because look at the offspring. Look at the offspring. That's kind of how it ended. Again, I did appreciate Kimmy's fight. I don't know if it's too little too late. However, you gotta put belt to ASS if you plan on winning whatever battle you got with this Negro that you choose to still stay with. I don't know if they're getting a divorce. Her profile still says wife on it on Instagram, so hey. And she did hashtag a Team Reese, so she's still in it. So it's only so far that I can really advocate for you, Kimmy. Only thing Maurice got to do is change. She's tired of being the villain. You want to blame me, and we're not doing that, as Kimmy said last night, with your soft hand self. I don't even like to emasculate people, but people that operate by patriarchy and operate by their lust and operate out of misogynistic ways, I don't care with them. I'll put a little sugar on him. You're a little bit more, well, not appetizing, but it's just fun that way. Maurice, you got to get it together, but you're not going to be able to get it together on your own. And I think you're going to have to fall all the way down. Pride comes before destruction. It's just, how strict is Kimmy going to really be towards this man that she married? That's all I got. Did y'all see the previews for the mid-season entry? We saw none of Martell, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy. You're not needed anymore. Thank you, Holtz, for carrying us thus far. Even though I am kind of sick of the OGs, but at this moment, those OGs are the only ones that can really drive the show. And I'm okay with Ken and Trish. I really am. I didn't mind their story whatsoever. Are they the strong leads? No, they are not. They are not. So if we do get a new cast, cool. But I think the OGs can rest at this point. Like, get out of here, whatever. But that's all I got. Tell me what you think. I appreciate you for coming to my channel. I don't have anything really going on during the weekends, but I have other things still planned. So if you are not subscribed, please do so and keep your notifications or notifications on, as Mr. Carlos King would say. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And until the next one, peace.